Well, yeah, great to have you both on. Really looking forward to getting to chat about music and horror and pop culture, video games, tattoos. I think we got a lot of stuff to chat about. But just to get started, want to kind of welcome people in with a quick intro for people that don't know uh, who you are, or from either of your respective fan bases to kind of get the intro to the other. So, Izzy, maybe you can just kind of give a quick background, what you're doing, and also highlight the music you have upcoming that's on the horizon.
Okay, well, hi, Izzy Reign here. I am an artist that is signed with FiXT, and I make kind of like a cyber pop metalcore style music for the most part. I work with myself mainly, but also Nick Matzkos and John Everhard. Those are the two people I write and produce with. I do so far have a plethora of songs already out that we've put out this year, but I also have one. I have the remix to one song that's already been out with this my friend here, Josh, and it is a remix to Pandora's Box. Super sweet. Definitely got to check it out. And then the last two songs of the album will kind of trickle out for next year, ending in March.
And that'll be your self-titled full-length debut album.
Yes, Izzy Reign.
Izzy Reign. Yes.
Izzy Reign.
And Josh, also known as Figure.
Hello.
Hello. So we actually go back a decade or so from when we first started working together on merchandise and doing some fun stuff way back in the day.
Maybe more than 10 years, I think.
2010, 2012, somewhere back in there. Yeah. Well, for those that don't know you, what's your comic book origin story here?
Yeah. I go by Figure. The name came from, I used to write graffiti and I used to write action figure. And that was kind of a weird artist name. So I just went with Figure. I do tell the story different every time. If it's like someone that has no idea who I am and they're doing some weird interview for something and, yeah, but Figure. And I've went by that. I've used that name since I was 15. I'm 38 now. And I'm known for like dubstep and some drum and bass and just heavy electronic music. But I make a lot of stuff for Universal Studios and just do some stuff in the background that some people might not know I do. Some I can't say some of them I can't say that I do, but mostly everything is just oriented towards the spooky side of things, which I just have an infinite love for. And that's it. From
Cool.
15 years old to now, it's been the same thing in a good way.
That's what first, made you so unique when we first became aware of you, was that you weren't just another dubstep DJ, EDM artist, but it was this horror theme that you put through your music. And yeah, just to dive into that, how has horror been utilized with all of your music?
Well, to start out, it's not like a conscious, like an effort that I make. It's not like I'm gonna wake up and make sure this song is kind of scary or scary and heavy. It's just kind of always been there since I was like, my cousins were showing me movies I shouldn't see when I was 7, and it's always been there. So I don't know, it's really nice sometimes I've boxed myself in a good way, where sometimes I don't have to think about what I'm going to do or how I'm going to approach it. It just automatically comes out. I mean, there's chord structures that don't work if you want to be scary. There's all these different things. So it's like I've set this path for myself and when I try to get off the path, I don't enjoy it. So it's just, I magically found this path when I was young, and day in and day out, it makes sense.
You've really incorporated elements of horror from like movies and TV shows into your song titles and
Yeah.
artwork though, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I would say 90% of my catalog is all, if you were looking through the song titles and you were just reading a list, you would just think you're reading like the stock from some old mom and pop, tape store or something. So some old rental store. So I'll watch a movie Even if I've seen it a million times, I watch it. I just kind of get the vibe of it, or I'll put it also on in the studio, and I'll just kind of start making music about what it is, or what chords, what synth do I think should be there. The movie's muted, I know what's going on, but like I start kind of making music to fit what's going on, and yeah, I guess that's it. It's hard to talk about yourself sometimes. Like that's what I mean, where it's like all the scary stuff is just so natural. The effort and the process of making that is hard to talk about because it's just natural. You know what I mean? But yeah, so there's been this year was the 15th Monsters album, which is some of them are conceptual and some of them are just a collection, like to reference a rental place. You just look at a bunch of movies that you like, and some of them I make up. Some of the titles are just completely made up, and there's movies that don't exist, which is really funny when people come up to me and they go, dude, that was my favorite movie growing up. And I was like, I totally made that movie up. It doesn't exist, but
Busted.
thank you. Yeah, thanks for the effort. So yeah, and all that really comes from just some early music that I really got attached to when I was young, that was themed, from the Misfits to like Dr. Octagon and Deltron 3030, and just things that you felt like you were listening to more than just some sounds that someone was connected to and like to make. It was just, it put you in a situation more. I don't know. It put you in an environment.
Sure. Well, I want to come back to your some more on your musical origins, but Izzy, how you have a theme with some of the songs you've done, including themes on your new record, the self-titled album, with your original music, but you've also been recognized for some of your cover songs, and what is your kind of background with the horror genre and bringing that into your music?
Well, once upon a time, I really, really wanted to cover a song that I've wanted to do since I was a kid, but I thought it was too cliche and I never had a chance, which is This Is Halloween. I always thought it would be so much fun. And so we were just sitting in our house one day and I was like, dude, we should just cover it. Let's get a bunch of our friends on it and people that are like in the music scene, and just, because to like back up, we run a music studio. So we have bands in and out constantly all the time. So when they were there recording an album, I was like, hey, jump on the song really quick. Just do this one stupid little line. It's going to be fun. And they did. I don't know why, but they did. And I recorded it. Everything was great. Loved it. Put it out. Nothing really came of it. But then TikTok happened. And I don't know why till this day, but somebody just decided to share it and it blew up. Like blew up, massive, all over TikTok. And it has only gotten more aggressive on how wide it has grown over the years. So I'm incredibly thankful. And when people talk about like, oh, it just doesn't work like that, like miracles like that that's not a thing. I'm like, yes, it is. I had 7 monthly listeners, and then I had like the same 2 days after, it went from like 7 monthly listeners to like 5,000, and then from 5,000 to 40,000, and it just kept jumping that from TikTok. So every single year from that point on, I was like, well, I feel like this would be a really good idea because I love so many different songs from this, like from Halloween. Like Halloween's been my life forever. I've loved it since day one. Like I was talking about earlier, I worked at Spirit Halloween and like ran the stores for 10 years. Like I love being involved in all of that stuff and getting super decked out and decorating the house and making multiple costumes. And I know every Halloween song ever made easily. So every single year now, I've chosen a Halloween song to cover and I put it out. And gosh, what does that put me at now? I have This Is Halloween. I have Hocus Pocus. I Put a Spell on You, their version. And I say that specifically because it is their version. And I got Spooky Scary Skeletons. And what else do I got? I put Living Dead Girl. I figured that would be a good one. I did this one this past year. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but I'm not sure. But I put one every single year as a new cover. I'm going to keep going with it. I feel like at this point I have deemed the Halloween Queen title, and the people that listen and follow it are the same type of people that I am like in my soul. So we all kind of like have this weird community that we're like connecting with. And I'm like, I see all these videos on TikTok of people using the songs, and it's just like for so many really cool reasons, whether it's like big events or they're using the songs for like their Halloween lighting and stuff that are like triggers or anything, or haunted houses, or I don't know. It's a trip, and I'm extremely grateful, and it's like easily one of the coolest communities.
And just to point out, your This Is Halloween sound on TikTok has been
Mhm.
used in over 175,000 videos. So a
Yeah,
lot of people have used that.
and they keep doing it every day.
Yep. Well, to take a step back, Josh, to go back to your musical origins. So you mentioned kind of, growing up seeing horror movies, maybe before you should have seen them at 7 or 8 years old or something. But when did you first start producing music, and what was the journey into music production?
I don't think I would have got into music if it wasn't for skate videos.
Interesting.
Like
That's fair. I get that.
yeah, I mean, I live in Indiana, and this is before. I mean, we could download stuff off SoulSeek and Napster back then, but you would have to even know about it to go get it. So, in our, even going to a music store, distributors wouldn't we wouldn't get a lot of stuff to, whatever Sam Goodies and stuff like that. We just didn't have access to a lot of culture like that. And all of a sudden, from hearing just music on skate videos, I was like, what is that? And they would show the credits at the end, and I would look up. And most of it was like all the punk rock stuff we knew that was accessible, and that always had a really good scene here and good community. But it was a lot of the weirder hip hop stuff, that some early electronic music, like hearing like FX Twin for the first time and not knowing what that was, if it was multiple songs, or like I didn't know what was going on. And they would show the credits at the end, and then you could, go online and look in SoulSeek or something and try to grab a couple. And then we started traveling for skating. Well, my mom would drive us, get my grandma's minivan and drive like 5 of us. And so sometimes we would stop and, my mom loves music. We would stop at, some store, in Nashville or wherever we were going to skate at, wherever park we were going to. And I was starting to find these actual CDs from artists that I barely knew of. And then I started recognizing labels. That's when I started really, it was probably, 13 or 14, I started just seeing labels of everything from this label I really like, or like, oh, so-and-so's featured on this. Oh, he has an album out. Like, oh my God. And then it just started. And then the internet started getting way bigger with music, and all these labels started having very accessible websites and stuff like that. And then very quickly, like almost within a year, I just started saving up like chore money, and then just working all summer when I wasn't skating, mowing lawns and doing stuff. And then bought my first set of turntables, they were junk turntables. And because, some of the songs people would be scratching and stuff, and I was just so interested in that. But then I got tired of buying records because I could never find what was in my head. So then next summer, so I'm 15, so now this is the summer coming up on being 16, I work my ass off all summer and save up and buy an MPC 2000. And I stopped buying other people's records and started just buying records to sample and try to figure out what's what. And so really, I just wanted to make beats and scratch. That's all I wanted to do. All my friends were in bands and stuff, and for some reason, I just wanted to not do that because they kept breaking up and complaining about it and stuff. And I was like, like my friend groups kept like breaking up in high school or in middle school, and then even early in high school, people just stopped talking to each other because their band that played 2 shows locally would break up. But so I just went my own route, wanted to make beats and scratch, and throughout that would just meet other people, and mostly at the skate park. And sometimes be like, yo, you want to go to Motomart and, get a Mountain Dew or something? And I remember this guy named Kyle would always be listening to electronic music, and he would have just weird drum and bass mixes. And it wasn't necessarily stuff I liked, but there would be elements from it. And then one time he was playing, I think he found it on just somewhere on the internet. It wasn't something sold or whatever, but it was like a DJ Shadow drum and bass mix. So I was already like, oh my God, DJ Shadow. I've never heard of, I thought I knew everything about, his catalog. And then he's playing this other stuff. I'm like, oh, that's the music that you normally play, but this doesn't suck. Like, this is really good. And just started kind of doing both. And it was almost like my like heart was fighting my soul, because I was like, I'm supposed to be a hip hop kid. Well, I'm not supposed to make electronic music. And then I was like, that's really fun though, because I would program like a drum and bass beat with the same breaks I was trying to sample for the hip hop. And it was just this like fight. I thought it was like a fight in my own head for the next couple years, not realizing it was just developing my own taste in things. And you're younger and you think you got to be one thing, you know, you got to be this. And it was really that. I don't think if I skated and didn't meet the people I did, and the people that made these old skate tapes didn't have good taste in music, because they, you know, they were in California, New York, and France and stuff. And so they had a smorgasbord of just music that we would never hear. So yeah, and it just slowly moved on. And at one point I just put skating on the back burner and just focused on music. And it kind of ended up where I set out to be originally, even though, like, if you ask someone what they think I do, it's either they're like, if they want to simplify it, they go, oh, he makes dubstep. But I'm still making beats for a living. You know what I mean? That's just a beat. And in my spare time, since learning dubstep and drum and bass and just electronic stuff in general, that's the umbrella. That's the ultimate umbrella of everything, I think. And then once you learn that, everything under it, other than playing in an actual band, right, and learning all these different instruments, or, you know, orchestral stuff or anything, just producing music, you've accidentally taught yourself all these other things that are normally so hard to make. So now, like, I get in my spare time, I just get to make the beats that I wish I could have when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and then I made a couple the other day and sent them to my friend, and he's going to use it's for a hip hop project. No one will ever know that it was me unless you look at the credits. And it's just like, that's all I wanted. I'm not known for that, but
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's my, that's my therapy. That's it's funny. I can use my job as therapy about my job. Like, I could be like, the industry's so stressful sometimes, but then just still sit in the same studio and make music with the same stuff, but it's different. You know, it's therapeutic, something like that.
Well, I want to take that thread and tie it over back to Izzy, therapy, mental health, themes in your music. Take that thread and run with it, and some of the themes of this album and the music that you write.
Yeah. First off, let me start out by saying therapy is for everyone. Please go. Just in general. It's good for you. I know health insurance kind of blows, but you can figure it out. I promise it's good. Don't suffer alone. With that said, I wrote this entire album based off of it was pre-therapy me. So I wrote this song while I was in therapy, and I started looking in, like, more inward about all the things that I either didn't like about myself, or things that I had dealt with or struggled with, or, you know, events in my life or thought processes, and, you know, like, you name it, whatever. Stuff everybody goes through. So I took each song and made it very much so about an inward case of myself and think, but it can also apply to a plethora of things. A lot of times people will listen to songs and it'll be like, oh, I thought this was about eating soup. And it's about me, like, I don't know, like, dealing with past trauma, you know, like, you don't know. But each song definitely is very specific to me, and I think also is very relatable to a lot of other people who deal with stuff. And I think it's important to not have people feel like they're alone in everything. I personally used to write music that was, like, super encouraging and, like, don't give up hope, everything's great, and smile every day. And then I realized that's actually 10 times more damaging than helpful. So I was like, I'm just going to be real with people and let them know that they're not on their own. You know, like, this is pretty standard, especially for our generation. We all deal with something and life is crazy. But yeah, that's definitely the theme of this album. And have incorporated into the last 2 videos that have come out, I have my demon girls, which represent, you know, like, your standard, like, not to be typical, but your demons, you know, a cliche, but that's okay. And so they are a part of me and a part of my mindset and the things that I, you know, deal with just like everyone else does. And so I wanted to make them very prominent and important in the videos and in the merchandise, and make sure that people understand that that is a part of me. Like, they are my brain. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I don't really know how to end that sentence, but
Yeah.
the album's about.
No, it's great to just get a little breakdown of where some of the meaning and inspiration comes from. So
Oh,
a
yeah.
perfect segue there. Let's go to, we'll jump around a little bit, but other interesting hobbies that you guys have. And I feel like I've separately heard, Josh, you just mentioned you were doing some like game streaming or something recently.
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah.
Like, what was that experience and what did you stream?
It was fun because we live out like really far out in the country in Indiana. So it's not a place where someone stops by and, hey, just gonna visit. And my girlfriend goes to sleep at 9 or 10 every night, and I'm still on, even if I'm not touring, I'm always on like touring sleep mode normally. So I'm up till 6, and I don't want to be too loud in the studio. So I was like, I have to find something to do. I can't work in these headphones all night anymore, loud music and stuff, so, and I normally just play video games all night if I'm not quietly working all night. So I just decided to try it because during COVID, I started a Twitch and I tweeted it one time and I got like 350 followers, and I don't know numbers on Twitch, what's good, what's bad. I know, there's people with millions, but I was playing with some of my friends and they're streaming every day, like just trying to quit their job. And they're like, dude, I'm almost up to 20 followers. And I'm like, shit, hold on. I think I should use mine if I already have 350. I didn't know what was going on. So just brought my PlayStation 5 down in the studio and just set everything up. And it was really fun. It was just, there was the same, I would say 10 to 30 people that would always be on. And I'd do it every other day. I play some games, but half the time the game would just be paused and I would go to full screen because people would just be talking and asking questions and stuff like that. And I never thought about it. And my friend was like, I think you need to just do hangout streams and maybe little studio street, like in the middle, be like, I'm actually working on something, but I'm not, but feel free to distract me. The only reason I really stopped streaming, I'm going to start again. It was album time and I had to get it out. I was like, I can't, if I know I can just hit a button to switch inputs and be like, I'm just going to play a couple rounds real quick. It's bad. I even turn the internet off on my computer and everything. If I'm on, everything has to be off, but, which sucks because some VSTs have to use internet sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I want to use this, I have to connect to tell them I didn't pirate it. But
What kind of games do you play?
that was an experiment to see what people gave a shit about. At first, I was just like, I'm going to play the watch how good I can be game. So I played some Call of Duty and stuff like that. And I don't think people were there for this because they're not, most of those people just didn't randomly find me and want to watch some random guy play games. It was people that found me because of the music. So then I started shifting over to a little more like horror games. So I played some Resident Evil, played old PS1 games. I have like a hacked PS1 with every game on it. So it was going through older games like that. Some goofy games like Vampire Survivors. Not goofy, it's like one of my favorite ones, new ones, but old Castlevania games. Just try to like really theme it in where it made sense. There's a Stranger Things game that is just fully slept on. So slept on. It's like a fake 8-bit game, and it's so fun, and it's like Zelda, and it's Stranger Things, and it's so cool. I played that one time, and everyone in the chat was like, I didn't know this game existed.
Didn't.
Yeah, it's like, and it's official, it's not bootleg. You can play on as every character. It's so cool. It's so worth the time. But yeah, it was really fun. You just get to like hang out with friends, and then sometimes my friends would join me, and I did try to do production streams, and it went well for like 40 minutes, and I tried it on YouTube, and people started pouring in because I had YouTube since you could make a YouTube account, so I just have like old fans on there and everything. And this one stream, not pouring in, it was just, I didn't expect it to be so much more than Twitch the first time I logged on. And then I started talking, people just started asking, and I started talking, and I was like, I don't think it wasn't worth, I guess, just the engagement that I might naturally influence they didn't want to see that too much. So I might try some more production streams. That was fun. I'd rather than be like educational than like watch me maybe not make something, which is educational in its own sake. You know, it's important for people to know, like, you don't always sit down and make your next single.
Yeah.
You can have weeks of just going, this is writer's block. And it's like, well, yeah. Or you could just be out of ideas right now. Or you could have like a lot of influences coming in that aren't helping, not in a bad way, but if I haven't listened to music in a month and I haven't realized it, and I've only been listening to podcasts and watching TV shows, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like wake up my brain with some art, with something, you know. But yeah, streaming's fun. I'm gonna get back to it. But now I'm just like obsessed after working on that album, and I wanted to treat it like a job. I was watching some interview about Eminem talking about how he clocks in at the studio no matter what he has to do. He's in the studio 9 to 5, and he leaves at 5. And I was like, man, that's probably a good idea, because all the really big producers that I know, like in electronic music, most of them just they wake up and they work if there's not something to do. So I did that, and it kind of trained me now where the moment I wake up, I make my coffee and I sit in the studio. So I start my day down here. So then it's my choice if I want to leave the studio. But if I start my day with coffee upstairs, watching a show, now I've started my day not where I want to be at the end of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it really, if I spend more than an hour upstairs after I wake up, I'm probably not, I'll have to force myself to be down here, and it won't be fun. Because I'll be like, oh, you got to be creative today. But if you start your day where you're creative, it just, but the streaming thing, because I was down here more than I normally would be, staying up even later and stuff, and then the album time and stuff. So it's just been nice I try to apply the 9 to 5 thing, and it's worked. And I just have so much music that I have no idea what to do with, because I'm just so comfortable in the room. We bought this house like 2 years ago, so it takes a while to feel like it's yours, you know? So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that, you know, just to put yourself out there on stream. I mean, I think there's a lot of artists that don't ever do that. Izzy, you've been experimenting with streaming. What's that been like for you?
I love it, but that's my own personal preference. It was kind of one of those things that I grew up playing a lot of video games, and then I stopped for a really long time. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just see. You know, I've been told to do this like a million times, so I'll give it a go. And then because I started COD, same track, actually. I decided they made like the revamped version of Resident Evil 1. And I was like, well, I got to try that. So I did. And it's like the same mechanics as the original game, to where it's like the fixed angles and stuff. So I'm upstairs playing it. And I'm still pretty good at like most of this stuff. And it's like the old school like gaming, like, you know, like I said, fixed angles and stuff. So I'm having so much fun like playing this and committing to it, like playing through these games. And I was like, dude, I should just stream these. Like, I don't know why I'm not, because it's going to be the exact same. And I live with people, so it's like I'm still talking to them when I'm playing these games. It's the same thing as me doing it and playing with other people. And for me, I get the enjoyment of streaming with feeling like I have the company. You know, I like playing games, but I like playing games with people around, which is weird. It's not necessarily like my own like piece. I can sit there and like have conversations, or people help me get through things, or they'll be like, oh, what about this thing? Because like, if you have never played Resident Evil, it is very much so like a Clue type game. You know, obviously there's zombies and monsters, but everything is, oh, you got to find this diamond that'll fit this lion's face, you know, and like you got to like do all these things. So I decided to hop on stream, and I played the revamped version of like the second Resident Evil, which it was like new game controls, which threw me off big time for some reason. But then I've done a plethora of games since then, and I also did a lot of horror stuff as well. Still Wakes the Deep was visually beautiful. If you haven't played it, I highly suggest it. Kind of like just a run and hide type game, but visually really cool. I do stream 3 times a week, which is like on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sundays I do game roulette, so it's like a game that people randomly pick. A lot of times people go with Jackbox, which is kind of difficult to do stream live because people will hop on and be like, if it's a drawing game, I'm like, like let's see how inappropriate people get without getting me banned.
Wait, how do you play Jackbox
On
online?
stream?
Is it
So-
just with other people? Like I've only
Yeah.
played it locally. I didn't know you could play other people online.
Yeah, so you just use like I have my Switch and I do it's like the stream card. So it registers that while I'm streaming and then you just log on with your phone so people are watching the stream and they get their room code. So it's the jackbox.tv on your phone. So you're playing on
Cool.
your phone and watching the stream to see the game. So I get a lot of people that tune in for that. Like I said, it's a little bit risky to do it, but it's still really fun. Wednesday is usually the game that people pick. Right now is Visage, which is absolutely terrifying and insanely confusing. God, I actually was supposed to stream it yesterday, but I bailed because I was so tired. And then Friday is my favorite day, which is Fortnite Friday. So, I usually get like a lot of rotations of people that come in and they'll like, I would hop out, but it is my stream, so it's kind of weird. So people like jump in and take turns and like I send them to my personal Discord so we can like chat on Discord instead of being in-game system because not everyone can do that. And so we'll do that, chat, people rotate out and I'll play for 3 hours and yeah, that's pretty much my streaming experience. And a lot of the times, kind of like what you said, it was people that knew me through music that jumped in, but it's also kind of been a two-way street because it's people who I like post on all social media things and I'm like, come hang out on Twitch. And then they'll see it and they'll click it and they won't even know who I am. They'll just randomly have followed me or seen it post on something that's like whatever, like a suggested post. And they'll see it, they'll click it, and now they're on my Discord. And now they're like, oh crap, dude, like I didn't know you made music. And some of those people that did not know who I was their number one artist on Spotify, like in their Spotify Wrapped.
That's awesome.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
Yeah. But super cool though. So for me it's like a two-way like benefit and I enjoy doing it. So it's nice for me. My equipment's kind of butt right now, but I'll upgrade.
Josh, go ahead.
I was gonna say when you were talking about This Is Halloween, how it blew up.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun, and then they're like, she's the queen of Halloween. Literally, the thing that blew up for me initially was my remix of This Is Halloween forever ago as well, and that's why people like he's the king of Halloween. Like that was
That's so funny.
Do you remember that, James, way back in the day?
Perfect.
I didn't remember it was that song specifically.
Yeah. Well, there was other stuff going on, but there's something about the community that loves that. There's something bigger about the Nightmare Before Christmas fans than just the movie's cool. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not the Friday the 13th crowd base. We're just like, oh, we love the movie and the lore, the movies and the lore. It's like they probably grew up having some of the stuff that we think is cliche, but like having the stuff from Hot Topic, the Jack and just like I want to find my Sally and all that stuff, and then they grow up and they're still like, no, this is sick. But yeah. The craziest version I've ever watched of that was over a decade ago. There was a remaster, and then there was a 3D version that came out. And you could, there was some TVs that were out for a while. I think I had a Samsung, and it came with like the electronic 3D glasses. And so you could watch the 3D movies on it, or it could fake 3D any movie, which was always a little jarring and make you feel like you're on acid a little bit sometimes. But the Nightmare Before Christmas 3D version is the craziest thing. I mean, it looks like they went in and completely remade it, and everything is so separated, and it's insane. I don't know how else you would watch it now. I don't know about 3D TVs right now, but 3D Nightmare Before Christmas is like, it reinvents how impressive the claymation and stuff is. It's crazy.
It's insane.
That's awesome. I did not remember that you had done a remix of that song specifically, but when we were looking for a remixer for Izzy, and because she's so horror Halloween inspired, you were like the first artist I thought.
Nice.
I was like, I think your guys' fan bases will dig what each other does. And hopefully they enjoyed the remix itself, but just to get exposed for discovery, like these are two artists in different genres that do really cool stuff that are inspired by similar things.
Right, right. Yeah, the remix might not be the scariest thing in the world,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. And then
Yeah.
if they're like, oh well, who else is who like if they're your fans and then they go, well, who is this guy? Then anything they see on any page is just gonna
Yeah. It'll
it's
make sense. Yeah.
it will make sense.
Like, as happy as that song might sound, it's actually incredibly mortifying.
Yeah,
So it's great. That's kind of the point.
yeah.
Josh, I wanted to go back and ask you about another aspect of your career, and that
Mhm.
is the live performance,
Okay.
DJing in front of a crowd is, I'm sure there's any number of places in there that we could go, but what is the experience for you playing out and playing some of this music live and seeing the live crowd reaction?
I feel like a lot of the older, so I'm just gonna focus on Monsters stuff for this,
Yeah.
because I make other stuff, but this is the product they come to the store for type thing,
Yeah.
Um, the newer stuff is great to show people newer stuff, but there'll be people that will be like, I've been following you for 12 years and I've just never been able to make it to a show. And when I play some song that to me is so old, it's like vintage dubstep. And just to see their reaction, because they're like, dude, thank you. I heard that when I was in 6th grade. Like, that was my first dubstep I ever heard. That's the coolest. That's the cool reaction. Or them be like, I literally got into dubstep because of you, and I didn't like it. And then you put through your lens, they were like, I loved all the Jason movies. And then so you had a Friday the 13th thing, and then you used all my favorite parts, and you even sampled some of the girls like screaming before the kills, and did you sample that, like the music for it? And I'm like, no, I actually remade it. And they're like, oh my god, what other ones did you? And I'm like, I don't sample most of them, I just try to remake. You just look up who used what, you know what I mean? And just if you don't have the synthesizer, download the VST and you could try, but just talk like the reaction of just seeing people get to experience their childhood or the birth of them listening to electronic music live, and it's somehow my weird ass shit. Like, they're like, this is awesome. But another aspect of it live is I do a video set during it where it's just horror movies behind me the entire time, and it's basically like a kill count type thing. It's just like kills, 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 kills. Funny thing, remember that? Kills, kill. Like, not all
Yeah.
kills, but there's just tons of stuff. There's like
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of clips, and so as they're hearing, stuff that hopefully they're either nostalgic for, or I didn't know you made a song about that, I'm gonna go listen. I'll go listen to your music more. I shouldn't have missed that one or something. They get to like look at this compilation of things, and then maybe after that they'll show me a video and they'll be like, what's this from? What movie is this from? I'm like, oh, that's from Street Trash or something. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of that. Or just meeting people that found out about a movie from the songs and just Googling it, and now they've had a kid and they're like, it's my kid's favorite movie. I'm like, oh, you probably shouldn't show your kid that yet, but how old's your kid? But yeah, it's a different experience for me, I think, just because I've been around basically since like the since dubstep has been in America, right? So I've seen everything change. So, you deal with all the waves and you see what comes in and everything, and you either can adapt or you could just stick with your, stick on your lane. So now it's fun because the newer, like the up and comers, are so crazy at DJing so quick and playing so many songs that it has to make it. Finally, we're in the era where like I have to update how hyper I DJ. Or this kid that's only played 5 shows might just, it's not about competition at shows. It's about making sure the whole night's fun for everyone. But like, it's still the old hip hop guy in me. And I'm like, oh, that guy killed my set. Like, that guy, the crowd was going way crazier for that guy. But yeah, it's still fun. But to sum up the last part, it's still nice that it's challenging, even though I could get away with the playing the seniority card and just being like, don't worry about if I'm trying to drop 3 songs at once. I'm playing like career defining songs, or you know what, like it's just, it keeps me on my toes, I guess. Now I'm one of the old guys in it. Like,
Yeah.
like I just played with someone in New York and he was 18. It was
Nice.
just that's just, and that's not even the youngest. It was just weird, like talking to an 18-year-old, you know, and he's like, I gotta get back, I gotta work soon. I'm like, damn, I remember exactly where you're at. Like, just keep doing that, and hopefully even by this time next year, you could stay an extra day because you won't have a job anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because all these kids are coming up so quick, and then just instant career. They can finally just afford their rent, help their mom out, get a car finally. Not like, we're not talking about like Lamborghini money or something. We're just talking
Right.
like, who cares about that shit? But
Nonsense.
you know, like they can get a car. Like, you can support yourself really quick. So
Yeah.
and now that a lot of people are seeing that, it just, kids are hungry. So
Yeah.
it keeps, definitely on my toes, because no matter if I've been around for a long time, I still have to like earn my keep,
Yeah.
you know?
Music.
Yeah, exactly.
Izzy, how has things changed just in your career from specifically, something that came to my mind, but you could take this wherever you want to go with it. But, you were kind of power vocal early, and your newer sound is less that. So you've evolved and adapted some of your sound, but yeah, where do you want to take that?
Okay. Well, to sum this up in a pretty good understanding in a quick way, we'll start from when I was 1. No, I'm just kidding. So I grew up in a household where my parents listened to a lot of like metal music, like a standard like Metallica, Iron Maiden, whatever. My mom loved Queensryche and Rush. Well, my mom doesn't like Rush, but my dad did. I liked Rush. But I, as any young child in their youth, did not want to be anything like their parents. So I listened to like techno and R&B and like soul-filled music, and that's all that I loved. And so I started singing really young, except I did listen to like some artists like Madonna, Alanis Morissette and stuff, which kicked me wanting to sing. But growing up listening to like R&B stuff, I was like very soulful and like different style vocals and like the fun runs and like the falsettos and stuff. Anyways, I get older. My dad he's like a drummer and he's in bands. And he's like, you gotta sing this song with me in my band live. And I'm like 13. It's Hailstorm, which is so funny because back then I'm like, ew, no. I'm like, she's like the freaking queen of vocals. Are you kidding me? But I started kind of changing my perspective on music because, as I've said before in like a couple different interviews, I like, first off, like Panic at the Disco came out. So I was like, again, I love this. And then, you got Green Day and AFI and all that and Taking Back Sunday. Then a little bit more into the metalcore stuff was Enter Shikari, and I seen the music video for it and I was like, dude, I want to do that. I want to be in a band and play shows. That seems awesome. So I started a band when I was like, I don't know, 15, 16. And I realized that I was really good at doing power vocals. Like I had a very wide range, a very big voice, really easy rasp, like I'm going to be like that type of vocalist. I did it for years and years and years. And then I realized I was kind of doing it more or less to compensate because at the time in the music scene, it wasn't as common to have females in that genre, so I'm over here trying to look like the baddie, like the one who's like big and strong and I got mean vocals and I don't sound like a puny little girl. And, so I'm like being that person growing up. And then it's not that I'm like hating on any of that style vocal. I think it's still great. And I still think that I kill it with that vibe of music. However, I realized, I'm like in my 30s at this point and I'm like, I still love singing every different style of music. And the rock stuff is really cool. And it's like, I love doing it, but it's not like what I actually listen to. And my genres of music are nowhere near the stuff that I was making, at least. Now it's a lot closer. So I listen to a lot of like K-pop. KDA is really cool. All the entire League of Legends playlist. I listen still to this day a ton of like old school techno and a lot of R&B, and Imogen Heap is like my number one top artist. Bunch of cool stuff like that. So I like singing that style. I go to karaoke all the time and sing like those types of songs, you know. Even when people are like, sing Paramore, I'm like, I would rather not for the 500th time, but that's okay. Nothing against them. She's incredible. But so with this new album, I was like, I have a chance to do what I genuinely want to create, and not doing it because I feel obligated that that's the only way that I'm going to be seen. And I put that ego down in my head, and I was like, let's do something weird and try to see if we can combine it. And we did. And I love it. I love putting so many different style vocals in this music, whether it's like super small and little and very feminine or breathy, or I actually went both directions. I went a lot heavier and a lot lighter. So I started to learn how to scream. Like, this is a little bit beforehand, but I, had worked on that, got a lot better at it, weirdly fast. And so I incorporated a lot more screaming in it, but also, like I said, Spectrum got more dainty and more runs, and started bringing a little bit more of that Imogen style with like the writing techniques for vocal placement rather than it being more like cookie cut. And honestly, I could not be more happy with the way that we did on this, like the way we wrote the stuff in this album. And I'm incredibly thankful for the people that I worked with, because the people that I do work with, like, we're friends, we're roommates, we're all like super close, but we clicked like this. We're like, boom, this idea. And it was like done immediately. We wrote the whole album in a month and tracked it all. So, which is awesome. And I can't believe that even happened. But yeah, I'm glad we were
Record's
able to,
phenomenal.
yeah, I love it. I know I'm biased because I did it, but I'm very proud, and I'm glad that I took that opportunity to step out of my comfort zone and not feel like I had to appeal to everyone else all the time. And it ended up turning out 1,000 times better than I could have ever hoped for. So thanks God for being weird.
I think that's where the best art comes from, when you're doing it for your interests and not to appease the audience. Like when you can create what's truly unique to you, and then you find the audience versus pandering to an audience.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, there was a lot of big influences and stuff. So I realized the crowd of people that I wanted to be more involved in, and like realizing that other people listen to what I listen to. So we're going to go that route. And there was actually a conversation I had with, I think it was like you and Curtis a while back. And he was like, the best thing you can do is be uniquely you entirely. And I was like, sick. So that's what we did.
Yeah. I think that's important to the pandering thing that you said. It's like we're supposed, like an artist is supposed to be almost like an educator. And the people taking it in, you're giving them what's supposed to be just from you. But if it's based on what you think they want, it's almost like I don't want to go to an art show if me and all my friends picked out the stuff on the walls, even though someone else made it. I want to go in and go, what do you have to offer? What it's the uniquely you thing is. Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that's such an important thing to not. You don't worry about what's going on. You don't worry about what's going to sell. Who's going to like it. You just spill whatever you have out. Do whatever you want to do. And then most of the time that's going to connect, because there's something honest and like very human. There's something that you can't explain that's why people connect. Everyone has those albums from their favorite band or favorite artist that you're just like, something was weird about this one. And then you find out like, oh, that was their last album on their record deal that they had, and ends up they hated being on the record label, and so they just wanted to shit something out real quick. Those are always the one. It's just, even though it could be really quality music and really impressive, there's just that thing that doesn't connect. It's not
quite them. Yeah.
Just some weird human element that you can always tell. I did it 2 years ago. I said I was going to stop doing monsters just to see what would happen. What if I got out of that box? And then I did something during Halloween, and just in my own head, not worrying about anyone else, because I was worried about what I should do if I'm not doing monsters. It ended up just being something I could have just called monsters, but it was a lackluster version of it. Like I didn't, even though I was like, they're not in my head, I'm not worried about anyone. Well, I worried about them. I worried about the industry enough that year to stop doing something that has been so successful has just been my success. Like, that's my thing. That's my vehicle is monsters. And everyone that knows me will identify it. That's the thing that did it for you. And I try to stop it because I was worried about everyone else. And then I let that in the studio, let that in my head. And it's just, some people are like, oh, dude, I love that one. Make another one. And I'm like, no, I will never revisit that. I want to delete it from my distribution, but it doesn't, it's not hurting anything.
Yeah. I feel that.
Well, I want to ask a couple final questions before we wrap up, just to have a few other fun things. And Josh, I recall from a conversation like a decade ago, weren't you super into shoes, like a sneakerhead?
I was. That was definitely over a decade ago. That was about 15 years ago.
Okay.
That was really when I started touring and stuff. And, you know, growing up, we weren't like dirt poor, but we didn't have a lot of money. So I'd get a new pair of shoes every 3 years. And at school, I'd get made fun of, like, your Jordans are dirty, or, you know, what. And this is really before I started, like, just not giving a shit. And I just wore Vans, and, you know, I was just finally accepted the skater kid that I was for, you know, fashion wise back then. But yeah, so that's when I just started touring, and there was just the dubstep bubble just it came up and it got huge. And so we were just we were doing zero, and then all of a sudden we were just doing better than we ever thought we would. And it was just like, no one told me, don't do that. Don't buy those shoes. Like, every time you go to New York, you don't have to go to that sneaker store and buy 5 of them, or, you know, 5 things and stuff like that. And then that was for maybe a year or two, maybe a little more. I got all the things I didn't get as a kid. They remade them, or I got the old ones. But then I had one pair that I wore it. I didn't care about anything else. I just had this one pair, and I was like, these shit on everything. They're more comfortable. They look better with everything. And then they would just all sit. And I just thought that was ridiculous, and not trying to sound like a vote for me thing, but it was just like, I started thinking, like, I don't know, there's all these homeless shelters here. There's all these, I don't know, people that literally can't eat and won't eat for 3 days. And why is there a $5,000 pair of shoes right there that I'm never going to wear? That's not all of them were that, but I'm just saying, I just started looking at it and I was like, that is not me. That was just the thing that came out right when I started getting some extra money and extra, you know what I mean? And I started seeing, like, a path for my future of what's what, and just like, oh, well, this is me now, I guess. I guess when you have some extra cash laying around, you're supposed to spend it on this shit, right? So I gave some to my friends that would really like some of them, or have mentioned, like, yo, you got those? I remember those. I had those in 7th grade. And I'm like, dude, they're your size. Take them. I sold some of them, donated some of them, kept 5 pair maybe. But
like,
I definitely bought
now.
Yeah, like, I bought like 100, 150, maybe more shoes at that point. And then, yeah, it was just kind of a moment I had, I guess. And I'm glad I did it, because I got it out of my system. You know,
Right.
it was like my little, and nothing wrong with buying clothes and all that stuff, but I had my weird, like, hey, my life is changing. I guess I'm going to be materialistic for a second. And then I didn't upgrade a bunch of other stuff. I just had this tiny little house and, you know, an old car, but that's what I spent my money on. But yeah, so I still have a couple pair of nice things, but I wear black sweatpants and a t-shirt everywhere. So I can't, like, I'm not, you know, I don't try to ball out. Like, I just have normal, like, slip on Adidas's right now. You know what that's not me anymore, but I still do look at all the websites, and I always consider things that I'm like, I didn't get that pair when I was a kid, and I'm like, I'm not going to wear those. Those have baby blue on them. I don't wear colors. Like, what's going on? But yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I remembered specifically though that there was some shoe connection back there.
Yep, just super obsessed. And my mom would get so, because my mom is an accountant, so she was doing my accounting, and she's like, yeah, Josh, I get it. You got, like, this is your second. It was like, specifically, anytime I'd play in New York, and it would be like upstairs at Webster Hall, and then I would just see that as free money, and I would just go spend half of it at a sneaker store. And she's like, you don't even get to keep half of that, because you get your tax bracket, that's getting cut down. You flew your girlfriend with you. You're staying for 4 days. At hotel is $400 a night. What? She's like, you're not getting shit because you're being stupid. And then I finally started seeing it. And I look back and I go, damn, I look at my old Jeep and I go, if I would, all those sneakers back in the day, if I just would have, just did the
Yeah,
extra money it would have been.
whatever. You live
Yeah,
one
no,
life.
yeah, exactly. And I try to talk my friends out of it and stuff. Some of them try to get into it. And I'm like, is there a hole in your life? Like, what's going on? I'm like, your kids are healthy. You got married 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, all my friends just start just buying tons of sneakers and stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? Did you get like a new job or anything? And they're like, nope. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are you buying all these shoes? You're over 30. What is this a thing right now? Right now you're getting that?
Izzy, do you collect anything interesting?
I don't know. I'm not in any way, shape, or form a materialistic person. I'm quite the minimalist, but I live with people who are not. So when I pack up and we move, it's like a box. But everyone else, I don't know. I like shoes. I just don't ever buy anything. I like see it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I have a lot of hair dye. I can say that. That I'll say. I dye my hair at least once a month minimum. Different color. It's all black right now. Can you believe it? It's crazy. But I did bleach my eyebrows, so there's that. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on just kind of what's going on. I'm not a big collector. I have a lot of plants, and it's a kind of a lot to take care of, but because I'm the only one who does it. Other than that, yeah, not a big like diehard pretty much anything. I just have what I have to get what I need to get done, and that's pretty much it. So not a big collector. I have like things that I love, obviously, but I don't really collect a whole bunch. Nick, on the other hand, has every Harry Potter thing you could ever imagine in your life. We have a Harry Potter shrine basically in our household. It takes up the entire corner of our house. But yeah,
We're learning things here about Nick.
Yeah, his entire arm is tattooed in Harry Potter. It's ridiculous.
Well,
crazy.
What's your favorite tattoo, both of you? Izzy first.
On myself?
Yes.
God, no. Dude, they're all terrible. Well, my entire back has been tattooed by 3 separate artists to try and fix it, and it's like my whole back. So at this point, I've given up. But I have some really god-awful tattoos that are some of my favorites. One of them is completely disintegrated. I got it like really young. It was inside my mouth. But it said karma because I didn't like talk crap out of people. But anyways, probably the one that you seen earlier is this bad boy. It's this dude.
That's good.
Strictly because of the backstory of it is so awful that I will never, ever, ever get it covered up. I plan on getting like a big old-fashioned like mirror frame around it and like flowers and stuff and like making it so obvious of that it's there, because it was a tattoo that a friend of mine decided she wanted to get matching tattoos, and hers says sweet, mine says dude, but my dude got like insanely infected and screwed up at the shop. Like it was actually at a shop. I got it done and it got absolutely wrecked. And it is so stupid of a tattoo, but it gets everybody's attention. So many people, oh, is there another person that says sweet? I'm like, actually, yeah. And I haven't talked to them in 10 years.
I forgot about that movie completely.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm some diehard, which makes it even better. I probably don't remember more than 5 minutes of that movie. I have it tattooed, so I was like, okay, whatever. So yeah, we'll go with that one. We'll go with that tattoo.
Josh, what about you?
Thinking, I don't know. I had a weird, I started tattoos weird. So not weird, just I should have thought about space, I guess. But when I was 16-ish or something, maybe 17, obviously wasn't supposed to get it. My mom didn't sign for it. The shop didn't care that shop's no longer there. And I got these like huge wings on my arms. I'm not into Greek mythology or I don't know, but it was like a DJ thing. But see, then it took up this whole space. What am I supposed to do with this? And then it also, they're like, crappy old school.
Yeah.
Well, on purpose. That's what I wanted. I didn't want really, really detailed stuff. But because these take up so much space and they're so dark, it basically decided what style I have to do on both of my arms. Because I can't all of a sudden just do realistic it wouldn't work. So, but luckily, that style around here, just old school, simple shit is very common. You know what I mean? It's easy to do. But I don't know. I just played a show in California, and I have this. It's always a weird angle to show it because it looks like he's derpy. But it's this old Bela Lugosi tattoo, and the guy that did visuals came up, and he handed me his ID, and his last name was Lugosi, and I was like, "Yo, no way!" And he was like, I'm his grandchild."
Whoa.
He kind of had a little bit of the look, just a little bit. Like I kind of look like my grandpa, you know. I was like, oh, I was like, that was your actual grandpa. And he's like, yes. He's like, I barely remember him, but that's my grandpa. Like I have pictures with him, like him hold me as a baby. It was like, and I go, I've always been told that's one of the people you should really stay away from with sampling, because he didn't negotiate anything great for his contracts or anything. So he didn't, for most of the stuff he's famous for, he didn't make a livable wage for a long time and stuff. So I'm never sampling any old Lugosi stuff, any like older, like Hammer stuff, even though he's not in most of them. But like, yeah, it was just cool. That's not my favorite one, but that was cool.
Cool story.
Yeah, he saw it. But I was like, did you see the visuals? Since I gave him my whole visual set, and I was like, your grandpa was in there. He was like, I didn't see those.
Oh.
I don't know what my favorite one is. It might be, let's see.
You just gotta look. I know.
Yeah, I think it's like, I got this like a couple years ago. It's like this MF Doom tattoo. I'll give you I'll send you a picture of it.
Cool.
But yeah, I just always love MF Doom. Like I named my label Doom because I grew up playing the first Doom video game. My favorite villain's Dr. Doom, and I love MF Doom.
Nice.
And it's just a strong word. Like Doom is just strong. So I don't know. And then he died a couple of years ago. And then my friend's like, hey, did you see this? And I was like, no fucking way. So he's like, I'll give you a free tattoo if you want. And I was like, okay.
Nice.
So he just did it real quick. And then, but it's kind of the style I wish all my other tattoos were. Like kind of realistic, but not like, doesn't look like I paid $5,000 for it just for some little tiny thing, and I don't know. Yeah. Some of them are random.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we ran a little longer than I thought we might, but final question for real here. We'll go Josh and then Izzy. But what's one recommendation you could make to aspiring artists in whatever genre, but somebody that is trying to get into music currently, based on what you've learned in your career and where you're at? Some piece of advice that you could share.
I would say you keep your head down and do work. Like stay working. Like try to every day do a little bit better at whatever you're creating. Let's just say you're making electronic music. Try to learn something every single day, so the next day you're a little bit better and you're not just in a stagnant process where you don't feel like you're going anywhere. Because there's going to be a period for most people that you're not going to get recognized, like for your talent online or anything, or you could get recognized really quick. You never know. But there's going to be a lot of times where if you're looking for validation, it's not going to be there. So you have to do it yourself. And a lot of that can come through the same type of feeling you get if you play a video game for long enough. That you're getting better, and you're always getting better. Like just say, like you mentioned Fortnite. Like I played Fortnite twice, and I was not good. And I thought I was going to be good because I've always played like first person shooters and different things like that. I was like, oh, I'm getting these kids. Like this is going to be easy. No, it wasn't. But then if I kept playing, I would just keep getting better and better, and I could see it, and I would be in better lobbies. Things would get better. It's kind of a weird comparison, but it's just like, even day to day, even if you have a professional career, you are a professional musician, you should still try to just do something better the next day. And that might not always happen, but yeah, just always try to improve on your own accord, but however you want to improve, but try to do it every day, and just keep your head down. Don't worry about what's going on. Stop looking at like numbers and wondering how someone got what. Because unless you ask them and they're honest with you, like that's just some shit you don't need to think about. You just need to like focus, do what you do. Like basically like paint, like cheesy sounding, but like paint like no one's ever going to see it. But it's something you have to get out. Make music like no one's ever going to listen to it, but it should be something you want to listen to over and over and over, and you just think is awesome. Or make something that you hope someone else hears and they go, damn, I should have thought about that. I should have made that. So I hear that all the time. I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Like, that sounds like it was from my brain, and it wasn't. It's just like they caught the idea. They caught the idea and they did it, and I didn't. But yeah, just keep your head down and work, and I don't know, good luck.
That's great. Thank you. Izzy.
I'll remember that. Man, first and foremost, art is subjective. Always remember that. There is always something for somebody, and whether you want to make something that you feel like you want to get out or something that you want to make for someone else, that's okay. Like, you can do whatever you want. And I cannot begin to explain the amount of people that I come across at least a couple times a week. They're like, oh, dude, I could never do what you do or X, Y, and Z does, or I just couldn't do that because I'm A, not confident, B, not talented enough, C, that just takes so much whatever. Just throw that out the window because it doesn't matter. Like, industry of any type of art, it is forever expanding, and there are so many opportunities, and immediately shutting yourself out of it just because you think that it's not going to work. What are you doing? Like, it's not going to cause you harm. If you're okay with failing, which is the number one rule, be okay with failing. Always. It's okay if you fail. That's totally fine. So be okay with failing, but do it anyways. And you just keep doing it, and you keep doing what you want to do. And for whatever the reason or the end goal is, just keep striving towards that one thing. You can create your favorite styles or have an artist that you like and you want to make music like them, or even if it's not music and it's something totally different. Like, life is too short. Pursue creativity. And if you don't feel like you're a creative person, there are an infinite amount of ways that you can go about this, especially now, like especially right now. And so many people give so much crap to the AI stuff is with music specifically. And if you are those people that you have to Google lyrics of what rhymes with A, B, and C, that's totally fine. That's still okay. People reach from different areas for creativity. Some people are better at playing drums. Some people are better at MIDIing out drums. You don't have to be the ultimate musician in order to succeed in what you want to do. There's always some form or way that you're able to succeed in what you want to succeed in. And just find what you feel the most excited about and go down that route, no matter what it is. Because even if it's not, say, music in general, if you're not producing or putting out music, if you like doing live sound, or you like being involved in concerts, so you're a promoter, or whatever the case is, there's always something. And I am a huge hypocrite by saying this, but do not let being discouraged ruin yourself. I get discouraged every single time I do anything, all the time. I second guess myself 24/7, but I do it anyways. And I think that is definitely one of the most important things. Just do it anyways, because what do you have to lose? Lose. That's pretty much it. That's my Izzy Reign advice. So be weird.
And I think that's a wrap. What better way to end there? Thank you guys, both Izzy, Josh, Figure. Appreciate you both taking some time.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we will wrap this here.